Zlurpcast!
Welcome, Zlurpcast fans. As you can see, JP is dead once again. So send your condolences his family's way. May he rest in peace. Today on Zlurpcast, we're talking about Gencon and Blood Bowl competition at Gencon, which is the only thing that matters about Gencon. With me is Xtreme, he's over there, and Valdric, which is down there. So you guys both went to Gencon. I did not. JP did not because he was dead. He died after Gencon. So take me through it. Were you guys there right at opening? Were you guys waiting in line in that 5,000 person line, waiting to submit your vaccination records?
So if we want to start with the vaccination thing, that went incredibly smooth for me anyway. We were there first thing in the morning. But I went into the room
on opening day, or what day were you there for first thing?
Saturday. I had the least Gen Con trip this year. I really just played in a Blood Bowl tournament.
You didn't go to the vendor area at all?
I ran in on our lunch break. I went to one booth to see the Steam Forged Rivet War stuff and then left.
No purchases were made? Now at Gen Con, do you get a swag bag at all, like you do at Adepticon or anything like that?
No, I think, do they still do coupon books and stuff?
They have a coupon book, but you have to go to a booth to get it. So I did not.
So is it a coupon book for like vendors at the hall or local area businesses, or what's that all about?
Both. It's basically a lot of the stuff you would get in the normal Gen Con swag bag. Now you just get a coupon book and you take the coupon to the different booths and you get your free D6 or whatever it is.
I guess that's easier, especially on the organizers, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's easier and it's actually better, I think, for the booths too, because now you're forcing the person to go to your booth.
Yep. Yeah.
And maybe buy something else.
Yeah, at Adepticon you get some coupons for booths for like 10% off or something like that. But
yeah, they have that too, but which is good. Because like you said, it makes people go to the booth. So
yeah, I mean, if I got that at Adepticon, I'd be like, I don't want any of this garbage.
That's why I didn't get a coupon book. So
yeah. So you showed up on Saturday, because I saw pictures of the vaccine verification line, and it looked like a nightmare. But just like Adepticon, if you go to get your badge on the Wednesday before they open, it's a nightmare. But if you go the day later, it's nothing.
Yeah, and that's how I would guess Gen Con probably was. I wasn't there, but
I heard from a friend of a friend and saw a picture, and it looked horrible.
Yeah. By the time I got the first thing Saturday morning, it was a big room, and it had like the roller coaster line corral to go through, and there's only one other person in the whole room, so they were like directing me around the corral. I was like, "Thank you," and just walked right up and got my stuff and walked out.
I just imagine this, like, we need to verify this, and then you pack people in ass to mouth in a roller coaster line.
Right, it's pretty silly when you think about it, but yes,
wearing a cloth mask with like a D20 on it.
I will say I was pleasantly surprised at how many people were wearing masks correctly. And,
yes,
I've heard more than one person say that.
Very few people were like trying to bend the rules, and I mean, I saw a couple, but not very many at all.
It's strange because, like, there's a mall up north from me a little bit, Vernon Hills, that I went to, and I noticed a lot of, and this is, I want to say like a couple months ago, and I noticed the only people wearing masks were really old people or teenagers. But the teenagers I noticed were wearing, they weren't required or anything at this mall, but they were wearing them like below their lips to the point where I'm like, I don't understand why you're doing it then. But you don't have to. Like, I see people scoffing at, like, screw you. But they're obviously willing to wear a mask, but want to wear it improperly. Did you see, were they all surgical masks, or did you see some of the more useless cloth single layer masks that I see a lot.
Most of them were cloth mask. You weren't supposed to have gaiters. I think I only saw one person with a gaiter.
Now, do you think, is it Mike, as the man of science here, is the gaiter not liked because even if it's multiple layer, it's right up against your face, right? That's the bad part.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Bill Nye did a study showing the gaiter and how it's actually worse than nothing.
I'm sorry, I want to ask a science person, not Bill Nye.
Oh, no. He's
Bill Nye is a mechanical engineer, which is also known as the easiest of the engineering fields. Whereas Mike is a real scientist.
Paleontologist. I mean,
it's at least pure science and not applicable science.
Yeah. Which means I'm qualified to teach. Yeah, but that's it. As opposed to get a real job. But
I like you. I'm anti-mask just because that's what I do. But if someone's gonna wear a mask, I get mad if they're wearing it wrong.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go to the trouble to wear a mask, wear it right.
Yeah.
And when I wear a mask, I tend to use just the surgical masks is what I find they're the most comfortable. Because they all have that metal pin.
The little metal pinch thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think several of the cloth ones I do have like a wire at the nose that you can kind of pinch in, and those are ideal. Especially if I wear my glasses, I have to have that.
Oh man, I know like when we used to have to wear masks to play like Grognar games, Ryan wears glasses, and I would just see the fog.
Yeah, it would fog,
go away.
Fog, yeah.
I'm like, how do you stand that? It drives me insane.
I still have to wear them at work, and
is yours like my work where it's bizarre? Like, oh, once you're at your desk, you're fine because
it's only in classrooms, labs, and medical facilities. So I have to have it on in my lab and when I'm teaching, but not in the hallway. And they've also, as long as I am 6 feet away from students, I don't have to wear it while I'm teaching because the faculty all whined about that, but I still wear it because I figure if they have to wear it, I'll wear it. And it really doesn't affect me. I can still project through the mask. So, although with the beard, I sometimes get beard hairs like in my mouth while I'm lecturing, or if I inhale at the wrong time, it goes, but yeah.
It's interesting. Masks are making a comeback even, and I guess on the positive side for someone who hates masking like I do, they're not becoming mandatory at places yet, but people are voluntarily wearing it, which I'm fine with. But like I said, if you're going to wear it right. So yeah, I heard a lot of mask compliance. It was required, right, at Gencon, mask required.
Yes.
Vaccine proof required. To how many boosters was it? Were they allowing people with just the 2 initial shots?
I think it was just the 2 initial, and it had to be 2 weeks out from Gencon.
Yeah.
So you could get it that day.
What about a single Johnson & Johnson shot?
I don't know. I'm sure that would be fine.
Interesting.
I mean, a lot of it's like that perception of safety more than
it's theater, right? Yeah. But yeah, so far, I was chatting with. It sounds like Leif's got out without COVID. It sounds so far Todd got out with the COVID. You guys don't have any issues, and I know Mike, you actually have to test frequently. So
yeah, I have. I've been tested twice, and no problem.
Nice.
John Jack got it. I know that.
But he was spending a lot of time with Mantic people, so you got to expect that. They're dirty, dirty people. And he was probably doing a lot of demos, I assume.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I'd be curious. I haven't gone looking, but I haven't seen attendance numbers either. But I know, like Mike and I commented on the fact that it felt like there was more space. Like, you were as packed in there with people. There's still a good amount of people, but it wasn't like Gen Con's past where
it wasn't like 2019 peak Gen Con, you think?
Yeah, it wasn't 70,000 people.
Did they have the football field for stuff too? Again,
they still use that for True Dungeon, which is nice because True Dungeon takes up so much space. They're able to,
and it's awful and should be cordoned off somewhere else.
I mean, it's fun for people that like that. It's not for me, but I kind of look at it as like the not socially acceptable version of an escape room.
I don't think escape rooms are socially acceptable. They remind me of cash for gold places. It's like, that place is in a downturn economically. Oh, there goes an escape room.
Amongst people younger than us, I think it's acceptable.
Oh. I think there was a funny Portlandia escape that keyed off what I would picture doing, like as the clock's ticking down, just kick your way through the drywall. I escaped. So did you both arrive on Saturday?
I arrived on Friday, and I stopped by because I wanted to make sure I was set. So I stopped by and got my vaccine. Like Xtreme, I got, there were like 3 people in the room. I walked around the roller coaster thing, got my stuff immediately.
Was it a wristband?
Very pleasant. Like chit-chatted for like a minute, just and
did they give you like a little paper wristband like they did at Adepticon?
It was plastic.
Well, that's what the initial ones at Adepticon were. Then they ran out.
Yeah, and I have seen 2 posts on various Gencon things of people that had like reactions to the plastics and I'm just like, okay, but yeah.
Well, Gencon, a lot of Gencon goers are what I call soft boys.
Oh yeah, but it was fine. I had no problem.
But I remember it's like I just immediately took mine off and put it around my badge because I was going to bathe between the day I went. But you were only going in for a day or so. It didn't really matter.
Well, I had it on from Friday until Sunday, so.
But yours was the plastic one, right?
Yeah, and I still bathe. Yeah.
No judgment here. So it's aside from Adepticon, the protocol seems similar to Adepticon, where it was vaccine required, but no masks at Adepticon. At Adepticon, there weren't that many masks, but I think also back when Adepticon was happening, you didn't see masking as prevalent everywhere like you kind of do now.
Yeah.
Which was odd because the initial COVID variant waned a little bit in the summer, whereas it seems to be picking up this summer. So I wonder if fall is going to be a nightmare.
I think during Gen Con, there were more masks in downtown Indy than there have been in like the last year.
And is downtown, I assume Indiana is a lot like, say, Wisconsin, where you got Milwaukee and probably Madison, where you'd see a lot of masking, but once you get outside of those regions, it doesn't exist, maybe?
I mean, I wouldn't say you see a lot. You see a little bit of masking in Indy, not very much at all. Outside of Indy, almost none.
Yeah, even during the peak, like in 2020, I traveled through Minnesota, and once I got out of like La Crosse and all the college towns, and you get on the boonies, it was nothing. And even in places that had signs up, like corporate gas stations would say masking required, you go, no clerk had it. It's very interesting dynamic.
Yeah. But I think it didn't seem to affect the con at all. I think it was fine.
How many of what I call the Peking duck masks did you see? They're the KN95s that go this way, and it makes you have a duck bill.
I saw a couple, but not.
Those just make me laugh. I can't help it.
I see more of those at UIC than I do.
Well, I think we know why. Because it's the KN95s, I think, that are like that, right? Or is KN95 a more generic term than that?
I don't know. It's one of those.
It's a variant of the N95 that are pseudo questionable, supposedly, but anyways.
So you go there, it's Saturday. Mike, so when you went there on Friday, you were just kind of verifying your space. You didn't check out anything else,
I couldn't, because I didn't have a Friday badge, so I couldn't go in the dealer room. I couldn't go in the board game room, so I stuck around. I bumped into a couple of people, and then I just left.
How many people bumped into you and said, "Hey, how's it going, Mike?" and you had no idea their names?
I knew most of the people that I bumped into. So, and you do have a badge that has your name. That kind of helps, but. So I forget names a lot, so I usually recognize their face. So then I was still a little early, so I went to a McDonald's, did some work, went to Brian and Jenny's house Friday night, and then we went out to dinner.
Where'd you guys go?
What? Athens?
Athens Cafe, I believe it was called.
Was it a Greek diner or a Greek diner?
Yes.
Yeah.
We had never been there before. We will never forget it.
Yes, we will never forget it.
It was interesting. It's like you walked in and it was like walking through a time machine. But the weird thing that Mike pointed out too was that the strip mall wasn't that old, but everything inside this restaurant looked like it had been there for 40, 50 years. Like the carpet was nasty, like it had wood paneling on the walls.
Yeah.
Like maybe they were in an older strip mall that got bulldozed and they just took everything from it and transplanted it to a new strip mall.
They had that translucent plastic, up high, so they had lights behind it, so like this red light was coming through, that's how my dad had decorated the bar room in our basement growing up. So
but they had like Greek fare, they had like souvlaki and stuff.
They had some, yeah,
I think they had just enough Greek stuff on the menu to get the Greek theme. But
like if you got a salad, it might have some feta cheese on it.
Well, it was a salad bar. And
it was like a salad bar that had romaine lettuce, not romaine, iceberg lettuce, 3 salad dressings, some chopped up vegetables, and a little bit of cheese, and that was pretty much it.
That's not a good supper club salad bar at all.
No, not at all.
There weren't many choices at the salad bar.
Yeah.
I don't even think there was like some of the basic stuff. Like there were no croutons
No, there were no croutons.
Really?
It was weird.
Yeah. None of the dressings were labeled, so you had to kind of go by color.
Like, is this blue cheese, ranch, or Caesar? I don't know.
Yeah.
I will say I had a nice steak. It wasn't very expensive, so for the price, I would say it was excellent.
Yes, I would agree. Everything was very reasonable there. We were by far the youngest people in there.
Yeah, we walked in. I think we were decades younger than everyone else that was sitting down in there.
And based on me, that's a lot. The waitresses were all 70 plus, and
not very interested in taking care of you.
Nope.
So like it was, they would have an Uncle Bill like we have, but everyone there was Uncle Bill's age.
Yes, yeah. And there was a cocktail lounge.
Yeah. So did you end up were you able to sleep in Alex's bed with Alex or by yourself?
No snuggling. So yeah.
Disappointment.
Yeah. He does have like 12 pillows on his bed, so
that's weird. How many of them have anime ladies on them?
None.
No.
There is a Disney princess and a Spider-Man, so that was good.
Boy.
Yeah. What?
So Saturday comes, the big day.
The big day.
Before we know, there were on the docket initially at Gencon. How many Blood Bowl tournaments were there roughly?
4 or 5.
4 or 5 Blood Bowl tournaments. How many Blood Bowl tournaments actually happened?
2.
They did do a lot of demo games.
Yeah.
And the whatever they called it. It wasn't a build and play because you didn't build, but the events where you got a team, I guess they were all pre-assembled and primed for you. So you signed up and got a team and got to try and score a touchdown. I think he played like 1 drive of a demo. But James Luff did that. I think he said like 150 people.
Yeah, 150. Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome.
Did they get to keep the teams or?
If you did one of those, there were 2 different demo events. There's one where you came and played, and there was one where you left with a team.
And Mike, you were saying that you didn't think people got to pick what team they got?
I don't think they did, because some people were saying, I was talking to a couple of people that they had a similar style event for Kill Team, and you didn't get to pick your Kill Team. So I'm assuming Blood Bowl was kind of the same way, but
which kind of makes sense because you don't want to have like everyone choose all the popular teams, and then by Sunday it's like, well, we have 45 of the same thing.
Yeah, humans on humans. Let's go for it. Yeah.
Well, and you look at your audience. Someone doing that kind of demo has probably never played a Blood Bowl game. At least you'd hope so. I wonder if some hardcore Blood Bowl players showed up and totally were ringers, just totally raffle stomped the person next to them.
I would say it wouldn't surprise me, but I bet that was a very, very small amount of people.
Yeah.
When you walk by the demo game, then someone's got a total cage set up. I'm like, you bastard. I just happen to bring this guy. His name's Griff. I don't know. I'm going to play him if that's okay.
He looks cool.
I think so. I wonder if our suspicions are true that the other ones got kind of canceled because $60 is a lot to pay for a 3-game Blood Bowl tournament.
I don't know. I would hope that another angle of that is that they looked at it and realized we're not prepared for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll never know. Yeah.
But there was a tournament on Friday run by the Cincinnati group, and they've been running tournaments for about 6-7 years now. And
fucking Ohio people, man.
Alex Schutte won that tournament.
Yeah.
Oh, he played in both? Because he commented.
Yeah, there's a couple of people.
I go, I hope you're playing in Mike's. And he said, yes, I am.
Yeah, there's a few people that played in both. So. And
had I planned properly, I probably would have played in both, but I did not.
So tournament rolls around on when it starts, Saturday morning.
Yeah, Saturday at 8.
8.
Yeah, we got there at 7, and one of the problems with Blood Bowl now is the footprint of the board, because you have to play side saddle on the tables. Is they assume you can get 4 boards on a table, and you can effectively get 2.5.
Yeah.
So I had to.
You need because then you do a side saddle. The dugouts are over on the side.
Yeah.
Even more.
Yeah. And so I had to beg for more space, and luckily I got some. So we had the annex, which was in a different section of the main room.
It was a hike.
Yeah.
I made that hike. I got all my steps in that day, just walking back and forth from the annex tables to everybody else.
Yeah, I got 12,000 in that day, so I was happy. So, but yeah, but anyway, so we had 28 people show up, or 27 and me initially.
What was the how many GP were?
We capped it at 30.
No, how many gold pieces for a roster?
1 million.
1 million. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we kept it, again, keep it as small as possible.
Yeah.
Rules for a convention tournament is there's a lot of people, different skill levels, different play styles, different play speeds.
Mm-hmm.
You keep it as low as possible, have as few embellishments, extra rules and all that other craziness, and just try to keep it as simple as possible. And there's a good chance you might get all your full game in. So this year I had changed it from 4 games to 3.
Nice.
And gave it 2 hours and 15 minutes as opposed to just 2 hours. And most people tended to finish their games, I'm guessing. And we still had an hour for lunch, so people had the chance to actually go to the dealer room and all of that good stuff. And we still finished at before 5. And so that gave people that won, because that was always a thing. You won a gift certificate to impact, if you're one of the top players. But the tournament ended at, the last game ended at 6, and then awards were from 6 to 6:30, but the dealer room's closed.
Right.
So if you weren't going on Sunday, it was kind of like, but at least the 3 winners, first, second, and third place, got a chance to actually maybe spend it. So maybe. So
any special rule tiered? Were they tiered?
No, there's no tiers, just straight.
A pure tournament.
Oh yeah.
I was really surprised because it was a 1 million build, and I thought that alone would keep star players away. But I played Deep Root and Griff, who I never sat down to make out rosters, but I just assumed that with their costs they wouldn't be there, and they were.
Well, my odd halfling out team had Deep Root, but
the Deep Root I played, it still blows me away. It's such a good roster. It was Old World Alliance with Xtreme and Deep Root, and still had money for like a human thrower, human catcher, human blitzer, dwarf blitzer. So it was still a complete team built around that.
Let me see your roster, Cheater McCheat Pants.
Well, his sacrifice was rerolls. He had 0 rerolls, but he had leader, so effectively 1 reroll. But it was a great team. That was Tim Lyons, of Reed Eye Block fame.
Who won best defense with only allowing 1 touchdown the whole game, the whole tournament.
He kicked my butt. Yeah. He was my 1 loss of the 3-round tournament.
So, and you were playing the 49ers or some spinoff of them?
40 Miners.
40 Miners.
Sorry.
They're not quite adults, so.
So how constrained are you with a 1 million roster?
Not at all.
No death roller or anything?
Oh no, definitely not that. But you can get all your basics in. It's worse than it used to be before the 5K price increase. But at 1 million, you're still fine.
Yeah.
What you end up with a lot of dwarf builds, you end up with 30K left over all the time.
And you're like, what the fuck am I doing with this?
Yeah, I guess I have 3 assistant coaches, so let's do this.
I mean to ask you guys, because I have in my Chaos Cup roster I'm like, what do assistant coaches do again? Enlighten me.
They help you on the kickoff table.
Okay. There's 1 kickoff result where you can get a reroll. Or cheerleaders, there's 1 kickoff result that'll get you help with the prayer nuffle table.
Yeah, you're better off with the coach.
Okay.
Coaches are your best bet.
What about fan factor? Does that matter at all?
Coaches are more important.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not going to come up that often. It may come up in 1 of your games, but
now, what team did you play that had Griff?
It was a human team that was built around Griff. Sean Cowley played them, who in the short time that we've both been playing Blood Bowl, we've played each other a lot. Like we tend to be in the same area of the standings and a lot of in-person tournaments and online tournaments.
Slightly above average is where you like to sit.
Yeah, the right below any, like
not below where you're going to win something important.
Yeah, going into the last round, we both knew that we weren't winning anything, but
high enough where you still play the tryhards.
Yeah, we enjoy playing each other, and I think we both respect each other as a good coach. So it's always a good game.
You should have him on to see if that's true, or if he says "fuck that guy."
But it was
Sean's a good guy. Yeah,
it was one of the best games I've had in a long time, or not necessarily best game. It was a very memorable, interesting game because there were 3 touchdowns, and all 3 of them were the kicking team scoring. So it was pretty cool. The biggest part of the game that kind of changed things, I was able to kill Griff before halftime. So then the second half, I had a huge numbers advantage and no Griff. So,
and since he gives up so much to get Griff, that really hurts.
Yeah. And talking to him throughout the game, like it wasn't someone else talked him into using the roster. It wasn't the kind of roster that he would normally play. So it was a good roster, but it wasn't like meant for his style of playing. So it didn't really work that well. And he regretted some of the decisions.
So, so you finished what, 2 wins and a loss?
Yep. And I mean, with the number of people there in 3 rounds, you had to be 3-0 to
have a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas that's kind of the nice thing about like a smaller tournament is 2 wins and a loss, you might win.
Yeah, with enough bonus points, but I had like no bonus points either. So
what were the bonus points in this?
Winning by 2, having 2 or more casualties in your opponent, which my first win was like a 1-0 win when we tied for casualties. So I had like the lowest win points you could possibly get in a win.
And I guess when you have that many people playing, you need those bonus points to kind of separate the field out a little bit, I assume.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have fewer rounds and that many people, you need to come up with something.
So round 1, who did you play and what did you play against?
I played against a human team without a star player.
Nice.
It was a new player. He was very new to the game, so I was helping him throughout the game.
Like newer than me as far as experience, would you say?
Yeah, like a lot of questions on how many block dice am I rolling on this block.
I usually guess most of the time and say, is this right?
Yeah.
I look like I got a lot of guys there. Do I get 2?
I did make a point because I was helping them a lot, but I've run into the point where I help people a lot and then lose.
Yeah. They're like, well, you should do this because I'm about to do this and this would counter it.
And it makes me mad. So this time I was like, I'm going to help them a lot, but I'm also going to make sure I secure the win. And I was able to.
So what you did is like, you should move your guys to the left. And then
No, I wasn't giving them any like strategy type things. It's mostly just helping him with.
But only if he did something that was really like you don't want to do that type stuff.
Yeah, and there were some times where he was like afraid to take things back. I was like, no, take it back. Like, do something else. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So you were a gentle lover to this new player.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I thought so anyway.
But you won, of course.
Yes, it was close. I should have won 2-0, but.
Although, do you find your play style that most of your games when you win are still close, or just because dwarves are kind of that monstrosity that slowly creeps? And
I mean, if you judge it by the scoreboard, then yes, they tend to be close. But if you were there in the game, you realize it wasn't that close. Like things were under control the whole time, and one side.
You're saying there's a chance. Just got to make 5 plus dodges. So 1-0, you're feeling good. You're like, all right. So game 2.
I sat down. Oh, game 2. So that's when I played Tim Lyons and his Deep Root Old World Alliance. But it was really cool. We were in the annex, and Chance was playing next to us, and then Tim and myself. So we were like, hey, it's like all the old podcast people out here in the middle of nowhere. In these
you should have whipped out a mic. You should have whipped out your phones and recorded it.
And then Drew actually ended up stopping by too to kind of see everybody. I was like, geez, this is crazy. It's like a little podcast. Yeah.
I wish I would have known.
Was it like that scene in Rounders where they go to the New Jersey casino and it's all the guys that hung out together just stealing money from tourists?
Pretty much, because there were like a few newer players mixed in there, probably looking at us like, who the hell are these guys?
I was hoping I could have seen Drew, but I'll catch him next year.
Yeah, he wasn't playing. I don't know if he played in any of the Blood Bowl events.
Are any of those guys going to Chaos Cup?
I don't know. Probably not, because Chance doesn't like to plan things out very far in advance, and Chaos Cup is sold out. So
yeah.
For example, Chance didn't have a ticket for the Gencon tournament because he waited too long and it was sold out. But Saul happened to have an extra one and gifted it to him, and then
Saul's the one that runs Underworld.
Yes.
Saul the one that runs Underworld Cup. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to know.
We've got to start about Saul later, so
I'm sure Mike could have found a way to squeeze him in anyway. But...
Yeah. I mean, once Mike knew that there were only 27 people, I think he would have figured something out.
Well, and Mike, you had one guy drop, so you were like, "Thank God, I don't have to play again."
Well, yeah, that was Saul. We'll get to that.
Okay,
we'll get to my game.
So game two, that's when you lost to Deep Root.
Yeah, he killed in the first 2 turns. He had killed 2 dwarves.
Oh,
well, the opening kickoff, I had committed to attempting to knock down the trees. I thought this was a good idea. Like, get them on the ground.
That's never a good idea.
Well, I had it all set up though, because I have enough guard and I have my slayers with dauntless. It was going to be okay. But then he got whatever perfect defense is called now, defensive shift or whatever, and moved like all the guys up to the line to support them. And then I was kind of screwed because now I'm locked in with the trees and I don't have the numbers to throw good blocks against trees. So that was my fault.
Oh, so he had like a line with the tree men, and it wasn't like a full line of guys taking up the entire line, and he shifted that way.
Right. Yeah. So I lined up to take advantage of that, and then he got a shift and
he pulled a fuck you on you, didn't he?
Yeah. So Deep Root's first block of the game, he killed a slayer. I was like, that's not good. And then I lost another player the next turn, and I was I overcommitted to taking the trees down and was stuck with it. And that was pretty much the game. He dominated the whole game. I commented to him too. I was like, I made some mistakes. I got unlucky with some casualty rolls, but I just need you to make a few mistakes too, and then I'll be back in.
You're gonna balance it out. When you see me
But-
make a mistake, you should make one as well.
But he never did. He played a great game, and I lost.
I don't like that kickoff table. It seems to always be for ill in my case. Is that common for people to feel that it always rolls against them?
I feel that way most times. I did get a really nice blitz in my third game. So that was very fortunate, but a lot of times I feel like I just get hosed, especially with that. Is it called defensive shift now?
It's like superb defense or something like that. It's not perfect, but it's
whatever that result is, better than it used to be.
Yes,
but it's still so bad.
It was the worst result on the kickoff table before, and it still is.
Yeah. It should just be D3 players. It shouldn't be.
So it now lets you move as many as you want, or
no? It's D3 plus 3 open players.
Open players, yeah.
So it lets you just crowd the line if you want to. Obviously.
Yeah. Because it used to be you'd set up to try to get good blocks off trees or mummies or something like that. Then you get to just move them all, and that was just awful.
It was ridiculous because like you could have your 3 guys bunched up on the left, so they would counter that, and then you get this kick result, and you're like, oh, whoop, they're on the right now. What are all your guys doing standing over there? That's stupid.
Yeah. Who are they guarding? Nobody, sucker. And so what was the result of that game? The score?
I lost badly. 0-2. Well, it wasn't close. It was much worse than that.
Do you think, well, with the way, with it being as many players as it was, and you playing dwarves, like even 3-0, you probably didn't have a shot of winning because your differentials wouldn't be high enough?
If I went 3-0,
you would have gotten, First and second place were 3-0, and third place was 2 wins and a tie.
Yeah. So I think to expect to get a trophy in that scenario, you're looking at going perfect.
Yeah.
But I mean, even then, like you're not guaranteed first place. Like bonus points that I would have expected to get, I probably wouldn't have got first.
Yeah.
But at least I would finish in the top 3 if I went 3-0.
Yeah.
So was the lunch break between games 1 and 2 or 2 and 3?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Lunch break, what'd you do? Did you bring a sandwich, a little lunch pail?
I had like 2 hours and 15 minutes for my lunch break. So I ran into the dealer room to see the Steamforged booth. I got Mike lunch. I got myself lunch, and
which I appreciated.
So
I appreciate the quick game so that you could get me food before people started bringing in rosters, so I could actually eat it. And
so you went with laser focus just to the Steamforged booth. You didn't have any straying eyes looking at other stuff?
I mean, I looked at stuff as I was walking quickly by it, but I had no shopping agenda at all, and I didn't really care. I just kind of wanted to see what they had there for Rivet Wars. And
now, did they have any new models that you haven't seen before, or were they just displaying the stuff they already had?
They did. They had they're introducing, the Kickstarter starts 2 weeks from now. They're introducing a third army, which is not one of the previous 2 that Ted had done. I guess Ted Terranova isn't part of, like, he still owns the rights and licensed it out, but he's not doing anything with the game. So it's all Steamforged kind of taking the ball and running with it. So they're doing a third army, and they had some of those models there. And they're also, like, the old models they're releasing in updated plastic. So they're red and blue now. Mm-hmm. So they had some that were painted in the booth as kind of like a red army and a blue army. I don't know if they're trying to get away from the little bit of historical stuff that was in the game or what. But I found a guy that
army.
They're called the Neomins, and they're like an underground race that comes up, and I guess they're supposed to be like neutral, to where they'll fight anybody. In theory. I don't know why. I don't know the fluff reasons for it yet, but that's all the information they've released. But I found somebody at the booth that worked for Steamforged, and I could tell, because I didn't want to ask a volunteer because that'd be a waste of time. But I found him, and I asked him, is there anything you can tell me about Rivet Wars? What's going on with Rivet Wars? And like all he kept saying, like he had this company line that just kept repeating, like, I can't say anything other than we have big plans. was like, really? You can't like verbally leak something that I could then go on the internet and create some buzz about? Or like, no, we just have big plans. It's like, cool.
Did you say, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
I did not.
Did you say we did an episode on your goddamn game that was dead?
Well, it wasn't their game at the time. So
interesting. So 0 purchases aside from food. How were the chicken tenders at the Indianapolis event?
I didn't have chicken. What did I eat? I don't even remember what I ate. I know I had some candy bars and some energy drinks because it was Saturday and I could cheat.
Mm-hmm.
But I forget what I ate. It was okay. I mean, it was common food.
No one said, hey, I'm going to go to the food trucks. I'll be back in 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably had time to go to the food trucks, but
you did. You were the only one.
I just don't like waiting in that line. Like, it's just frustrating for me. And then ordering and waiting in another line, like, it drives me crazy.
Nice. So you come back, you brought Mike some food, hoping to goose your table choices.
Yeah.
No, I was just being a good friend.
Yeah. Game 3, the fun game, as we did, the rubber match, the game that doesn't mean anything, so you can have fun. Would you play?
It was kind of a rubber match too, because I think we played 3 times on tabletop, and he had won the first game and we had tied one. So this one I won, so now we're still completely even.
Yep.
But it was a great game. It was funny because like before the matchups were called out, like I overheard him say that he lost his second game, and I knew from the first round that we both had 60-point wins. So I turned to Mike. I was like, "Am I playing Sean?" And he like flipped through his papers. He's like, "Yep." I was like, "Oh,
you are now."
That's a good way to finish out the tournament.
No, there was none of that. It was all legit, but
yeah.
I mean, as soon as I heard him say that he lost, I was like, "We have to be really close if we're not playing." And we were playing.
And what did he play? What team did he play?
He was the Humans with Griff.
Oh, okay.
He had played in the.
You mentioned that. I forgot already.
Yeah, he played in the tournament the day before, and he was actually in the finals with Alex. And Alex, I don't know, got a fortunate touchdown to seal it up, and so he was very close to winning the day before.
Did your Alex play at all?
He did not. No, he went to Gencon on Sunday.
Oh, for the family day or whatever.
Yeah, for the Poor's Day.
Mm-hmm. So nice. So you went 2-1. That's respectable for sure.
Yeah.
And you lost to a good team by a good player. So no shame is what we're saying.
I mean, I don't have any shame in it. And I left on the high note of a really fun game the last round. So that's always good. You walk away from the tournament feeling like it was a good time.
So, Mike, you're running, but you were also odd man out, so you had the unfortunate.
I was also odd man out because it was like a month out, and I realized Katie wasn't going, so I'm like, I guess I'll be my own odd man out. And so I brought halflings because that's the traditional odd man out.
Yeah. Did Katie have to work? Is that why?
What?
Did Katie have to work? Is that why she didn't go?
Yeah, we'll say that. So
and if she went, you guys would have to go for the full time and spend a lot of money.
Well,
and
that, or she's never played with the new rules and feels a little uncomfortable, even though they're 95% the same. So
classic dinosaur.
So what I always do for game 1 is, I had 27 people, so myself would be 28. All the roster or all the game sheets are numbered, so I take 1 and 15, and that's a match, and 2 and 16, and that's a match. So I did all that, and I realized I fucked up because I ended up with an odd number. And then I went back and looked at my sheets, and two rosters or 2 game sheets that stuck to one another, and it was Mark Zuckerberg, who is one of the big Blood Bowl promoters in New York. It was actually
Blood Bowl. That's weird.
Yeah. And was actually he was helping me with the rosters, and so he was playing Skaven, and I was like, okay, this will be great. He'll kick my ass because he had Skaven with Hackflem. Yeah, thank you. And I kept thinking Glart. That's all I could think of, but it wasn't Glart. It was Hackflem, and I was like, he's going to kick my ass. It'll be a quick game. and which is great because then I can get done and, you know, take rosters. And we ended up, that didn't happen. We ended up having a really close game. He won 3-2, but it was an incredible amount of fun. But I was like, I want to give him, I didn't want to just throw it, so I wanted to give him a good game. And yeah, it was a really close game. Some shenanigans happened on both sides, and yeah, so that was a lot of fun. But then Saul dropped out, and which he's like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be that guy. And I was like, dude, you're doing me a favor, because that way I can not play, and that helps, you know, I can wander around and do other things and generally run the tournament. So that helped me a lot. So games 2 and 3 I didn't play, which I was more than happy with. So yeah.
There were no other dropouts, were there?
There were no other dropouts, and I was very happy with that too. So
I think a big part of that was 3 rounds, because I think if it had gone 4 rounds, I think there were a few people that were ready to drop.
Yeah, which I totally understand, and I get it. If you're not having it, there's no shame in dropping. Just let me know. But you know, with 3 games, it's like, you might as well play that 3rd game.
Right, and 4 game. Anytime you play 4 games, it's a grind. Like that 4th game's rough. And if you're doing it at Gencon, where you've already probably gone without very much sleep, and you've already been doing a lot of stuff, like, it's brutal.
About 10, 12 years ago, it wasn't that long. Whatever it was that I took over, I actually did a poll for the people there, and there are some people that were very vocal that were like, if it's not 4 games, I'm not playing, because they wanted to get that. But nowadays, I think it's like, no, I'm cutting back to 3. That's just easier for everyone.
Well, the first ever Gen Con Bowl was 3 rounds Saturday, 1 round Sunday.
That's insane.
It was done.
Yeah, I actually agree with how Chaos Cup does it, because you don't want to do 3 rounds on Sunday, period. So that's why they do 4 on the first day, I guess, right?
Yeah. It helps people that are traveling. But yeah. But the other rounds went smoothly. Most of the games, I'm assuming, finished on time, or at least finished at no one complained that they didn't have enough time or anything like that. So, and we had so Chance won. Chance from 3-die block.
It wasn't even.
He won with orcs.
Didn't even have a ticket to the tournament.
Yeah. He would have played either way, but yeah. So Saul, he did me a favor by dropping out. He did Chance a favor by giving him a ticket. So Zach Ebert took 2nd place, and both those guys went 2-0, or 3-0, I should say, 3-0. And Chance had a lot of bonus points. So, and then Paul Blanchard, who's local, Indianapolis-ish.
Yep.
Yeah. He took 3rd, and Tim Lyons also went 2 wins and a tie, got best defense. So, and then Mark Zuckerberg got most touchdowns. He had, I think he had 9 touchdowns. And then, because he had 3 against me, 4 against Sean. And then Sean McAverly took the dirty deeds. He had 20-something fouls or something. Yeah.
I think it was like 27 or something.
Yeah, I thought 27 was sticking in my head. But I was like, that's a lot, but yeah.
It was crazy. So, 3-round tournament. Like, he's dedicated.
Yeah. The best we ever had, though, was Ant. What's his name? He's from Denver. Anthony. Can't think of his last name. He ended up with a riot. He had a foul a turn every turn of the game, and he had a riot, so he actually got more fouls in than there were legal turns.
Well, now with the black gobo, you can get even more.
Yeah.
We got Wooden Spoon.
Forgot his name. It was a guy that had he played it online, but this was his first
in person.
His first in person. But I will say there were a couple of people that had families there, and they had like 4 or 5 children. Those were some of the best behaved children. When you consider they're at a gaming con and all kinds of distractions, all kind of whatever, but they all kind of hung out together. They were talking and playing with themselves, and they were great. Yeah,
they had all
what?
kinds of
They were
room
playing with themselves.
Entertaining themselves. But they had all this room at these empty tables that weren't used that the convention told us that we couldn't use.
Yeah. They always, the one time that I actually spread out and actually had one table or one game on a different table and somebody came at a huge stink. So I'm very strict about, we have these 5 tables and that's it, even though there were tons of other tables. So, but it's all, being in the annex too, you're kind of separated.
Yeah, everything went super smooth. It was a pretty awesome tournament. Like I didn't have any complaints. I don't think anyone else did either. I think it worked really well.
I have a system with the game sheets, and as long as I do the math right and I learned my lesson, double check the top 4 scores, I double check the math and all that. So, because I screwed up once, and
how many illegal rosters did you spot?
No, I mean, a couple of things had a couple extra, like they gave themselves the free fan factor that you don't, or the free.
Oh, the one that sometimes they stick in there for no, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's you have the wrong button set on BB roster, and it's a dumb rule that they don't need to have, but yeah, nothing too much. Actually, most of the times it's like you didn't give, you only gave yourself 4 skills instead of 6. Usually they kind of cheat themselves. Yeah. So yeah.
So I have a
BB rosters.
Yeah, I have a BB roster question. So I'm going around, and this is for the Cast Cup, my Wood Elf team. I was adding the skills. Is it normal that when you start adding skills, it jacks your team value? Should I just ignore that?
Yeah. Well, what you can do if you want to keep it so you got the number as the base cost is just give the player name the skill. Mm-hmm. So if you want to give player number 2 block,
I'd say like Wood Elf thrower Bob Smith pass pro, whatever.
Yeah,
pro. Yeah. Give whatever skill I pay.
Like they had just don't give in your player's name because who gives a fuck? And then
so like he had us do in the electronic roster for the
yeah. That's the easiest way. Otherwise, you got to tweak with the SPs, and as a TO, I got to do the math, and it's just easier to have it be the straight cost, the base cost without the skills added in, and put the skills. There's another way to do it, but it's just easier to write as their player name. So,
and what's the point of multiple assistant coaches?
It just increases your chance of winning that role.
Okay.
Yeah. If you look at result number 7 on the kickoff table, you roll a D6 and you add coaches. So
it's the most likely result to come up, but it doesn't seem to come up that often. I always roll these damn 8s.
For the stupid purrs and Nuffle. Which I'm very angry with myself. I forgot to mention that the kickoff table and the prayers and Nuffle table is on the back of the game sheet. And
so everyone's whipping out their
game
book.
3, I was like, it's on the back of the sheet. And they're like, oh. And I was like, yeah, I forgot to tell you that. But yeah. But overall, it was a good time.
So Mike,
I'll probably be running again next year. So
Mike, you got to take a peek at the vendor area. Anything of interest?
No. I had to go to the Impact booth, and like a fool, instead of going around in the hallway, because they're always by one of the far exits, then coming in, I actually went through the whole area, and it took about 45 minutes for me to wander. I did stop by the Mantic booth, said hi to Pat and John Jack and all that. Wandered, didn't see Ronnie. Wandered to the Impact booth, talked to Tom for about 10 minutes, and then wandered back. And that took about 40 minutes. So, and then I was very lucky. The only thing I bought was there's new God Tier minis out, and Steamforge had like a satellite area in the board game area that you could buy stuff there. So I was like, yeah, that's great. I just walk up there and
is that what you did the trunk trade with? You did the trunk trade with Ryan for at our game night?
Yeah. I texted him or messaged him during the thing and said, hey, it's buy two, get one free. Do you want it? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So
I wonder if that's something that I've never seen anyone sell stuff outside of the exhibit hall before.
They were doing it in 2019, but it was War Cradle had their like gamer area kind of just in that little space outside of the vendor area. Yeah. So I think they were teasing it, you know, and now Steamforge.
Like, I wonder, I think that as long as you paid for a vendor table, they probably won't flip their lid about it a little bit. But if someone tried to get a sneaky vendor table that way.
And that was like their headquarters where they were running their events from that area too. And, you know, nowadays it's just, you got a square on your phone and you can still do the purchase. So it's not like a big deal anymore. And I think that area was only a credit card. You couldn't pay cash.
Well, or could you?
Yeah.
If you find the right volunteer.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here you go. What happened? I don't know. That guy stole that box.
Like an Adepticon, Todd with his giant wad of cash in his pocket. So.
That's right. What? Oh,
Can I sit on that lap, please?
What's my price? Well, he had 2 wads.
You break a 20 for this $1 miniature? Just take it.
Yes. You break a 50.
Just take it.
It's free. My gift to you. I wonder if Todd will ever go to Gencon as event. Probably. It's not worth it.
I wouldn't think so. I'm shocked that Games Plus goes. I honestly can't see
them making up the money.
Yeah.
You know if Gencon still has the rules too, where you can't sell product if that company has come to the con? Like you can't sell their product? Because I know that was a huge thing in 2004. Because
like if GW's there, you can't sell GW stuff.
Yeah, because in 2003, GW had a huge presence, and then no one really knew that they weren't going to show up in 2004. So there was no Games Workshop stuff anywhere to buy. So like anyone that was close by that had a store was like running to the store to get their product and bring back
stock. Yeah.
Week.
Like at Adepticon, I remember Todd got in a fight with the Dust guys because he was selling stuff at a discount and they were there selling. And he says, "We won't sell to you if you keep doing it." He goes, "Fine, don't sell to me."
And then
because he was blowing it out.
I did like some of the people like Chimera Games were selling GW stuff, so I don't think that's an issue. But I've bought. I know for a fact I bought because in 2019 I wanted to buy something from Fantasy Flight, but they had this giant line there. But I found another vendor that was selling. It was an old product that was selling the same thing, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll just get it from you." So.
Well, I heard when X-Wing was big, they had a lot of new ships that we released at Gencon. And I had a buddy pick some up for me, and he said it was insane. Just the line, the way it was twisting and turning. And
yeah.
Those are always the worst booths, too, where they have, like, the line ends, and you think, oh, okay, it's not that bad. Like, no, that's just the first half of the line. Then you have to go stand by the restroom, and there's a line against the wall over here.
Yeah.
You have to get through line 1 before you get to line 2,
because otherwise they'd be blocking other booths, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It just sucks. And you can't really like walk and look at it. You have to know what you want to buy before you get in the line. It's just dumb. I hate it. But I mean, good for those companies that are that popular and people want to buy that much of their stuff. I don't know if we're done with Gen Con. I have another topic we can discuss.
Sure.
Did you see the controversy with C2E2?
Is that the Chris Claremont?
No, that stuff was separate. But there was a Ultimate Fallout issue that was sold as an exclusive there. There was only 750 copies, but it was like they had extra copies of that issue and they put a acetone cover over the top and put more staples in it. So that way, like, I think Miles Morales was holding something before, but now with this cover, it looks like he's holding the American flag. That wasn't.
And we all know that Miles Morales hates America.
Sure. But CGC had graded some of these books as perfect 10s. And people were like, that doesn't make it, it has extra staples in it. It's not like, how can you do that? And then, so that was part of the controversy. Then another part of it was the people selling it were giving special privileges to people with YouTube channels and other vendors. They were skipping the line, and there was no limit on how many they could buy. So some of these vendors were coming up buying like 80 of copies of the book
of a very limited book.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a YouTube channel. Where's our copy?
Right. So, I mean, the way to defeat all this, right, is to not buy this book and let the cost go down. But it's selling on eBay now for like $10,000-$20,000 in some listings. Like there's people bidding this much on it. Like you are creating this problem that you're going to perpetuate now, because now everybody's going to do this. Oh, I can just slap this extra clear cover on the front, make it a little bit different. You're going to get it graded anyway. You don't care that there's 4 staples in the book now. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of YouTube stuff that I've been watching.
You think Marvel might have done this on purpose because that's the only way
to get hyped? So that's the other part of it. Marvel didn't know this company was doing this. So usually when you have like one of these exclusive covers, you know, you make a deal with Marvel and you pay for the publishing, a new printing of that book.
Yeah, you have to buy some 20,000 or like thousands of copies to get it to qualify.
Right. But Marvel is saying they didn't know anything about this, that this company was doing this to these books. So now there's like legal issues going on with the whole thing, but
which is going to make the demand even higher.
Right.
Like long-term value on books, unless it's a cornerstone issue or a first appearance stuff, like bullshit gimmicks like that don't hold their value over time.
No.
Well, if they keep the numbers low enough, they keep their value longer. But eventually, there is the fall off. But I mean,
why is this special? You know,
right? And if anything with this one is special, it's going to be the story that goes with it. But even then, like, I think it was $75 for one copy of it in this line, and there were 750 of them. I think that's right. But the amount that people are bidding on eBay for them is just like, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy.
Like real, genuine, rare comics don't go for this much.
Right.
Not artificially rare bullshit.
And I don't know, the whole thing is so before that, I'd seen that issue in the comic store when it was released, the normal copy, not the special whatever. And I was like, man, I should like pick that up because it's probably going to be valuable or something. I was like, nah, that's fine.
No, because the normal copy, there's thousands of them, and it's a new Marvel comic, so it's crap probably. So
right, so those that bleeds into another subject which drives me crazy with comic books right now. But the normal version of it is selling pretty high right now because all the speculators are buying it, which drives me insane. The whole concept of speculating on comic issues, because you're selling to the same audience. Like, so you're all speculating and you're selling to each other, driving the prices up.
In 3 years, those comics will be worth less than the cover price.
Well, they all base it on stuff too. Like, oh, this character is going to be in an MCU movie. The people seeing that movie don't care about comic books. Right. They're not going to suddenly go and find that comic book. So all you're selling to is the same group of people that think all these books are going to be valuable. You're just selling to each other in a circle.
I was listening to a guy talk who made a good point about both Marvel and DC. It's like the reason they won't go out of business is because their parent companies, the amount of money it costs Marvel to do, or it costs Disney to do Marvel's comics publishing, they spend more than that on their internal catering as a company. And they spend a lot on internal catering because it's a big worldwide corporation, but they spend more per year than that. And DC, Warner Brothers made more in 1 year on licensing of shitty Halloween costumes than it costs to run DC publishing. It's such a low cost for these megacorps that they'll never fund it to make it great, but they'll never get rid of it either. They'll just use it as an IP generator.
Yeah.
I won't pick up. I'm not picking up single issues. I'm just doing omnis and maybe any special edition, like big thick ones. Sure, but it's just. Did you read any of that? The series that this comic was in? Every event I've tried to read for the last like 2 years has been garbage.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't interested in that. I do say that Marvel is killing it with omnis right now. How they're pumping them out and getting them listed, and they're doing a great job with that market. I really wonder how big of the overall comic book sales are omnis. So I don't know if it's equivalent to like digital sales or.
Yeah, I don't know. And Marvel's so bad at it. Marvel and DC are both so bad at digital. Anyway, but I bet you Omnis are a drop in the bucket still, but obviously still worthwhile. But man, they're getting, was it 175 for a thick boy now? I saw.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about that when we went to lunch when I was in town. Mm-hmm. It's getting to that point where it's my threshold where I'm not going to buy them anymore. Like even at a discount, like the Spider-Man 2099 is probably the exception because he's my favorite character ever. But like with the discount, I think it was $90. It's like that's awfully close to that $100.
Yeah, once you're over 100, it's getting like I have to really want it. It won't be just something I'm curious about.
I mean, it has to be something super special for me to go that high for an Omni. And if 150, 175 is going to be the new normal, then that's where the discounts are going to be. It's going to be around $100.
Mm-hmm. I wish my ghetto store actually got more Omnis in. It's like the same ones they've had forever.
I mean, it's still a bargain if you consider like trying to get all those trades or single issues, but it's such a big number that it's hard to swallow.
Yeah, I heard C2E2 that Chris Claremont said some things that made people have to go to their fainting couches. Because he's a grumpy crank. I guess he's known as he's just going to say whatever he wants. He doesn't give a shit. But I like how he said John Byrne. He goes, "Oh, you mean that Canadian guy?"
Everything that I read that he said, I don't see anything controversial. It's just
you're not insane.
There was another creator too that there was some buzz around something he said, and I didn't read into it. I don't even know who it was.
I totally didn't even know C2E2 was going on. Not that I'd go, but I would have thought about maybe going. Because it's the same weekend as Gencon, isn't it?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Plus, it's in the city.
Yeah. Oh, it's not even at Rosemont?
No, I thought it was Merchandise Mart, wasn't it?
McCormick Place?
Oh, McCormick Place, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
The other M.
So we played Infinity last night. We had 4 players, Brian. Are you excited for us?
I'm excited for you. I want you to have fun. I'm not at all.
I know Hoagie didn't have fun.
Yeah. We'll talk about that when we do our Infinity episode.
The game has flaws, and most of those flaws are that we don't understand it.
Have you finalized your Chaos Cup roster?
I have. It's basically the same roster that I took to Feast of the Goblin King with less rerolls because it's less money, I think. But more skills.
Also need rerolls.
More skills, I guess.
So I was doing my Underworld Cup roster last night, and it's less. I think it's less money to start with because for Tier 1 teams, it's $1 million to start. But when I got my roster built, I don't think I've ever been more confident in an Underworld Cup roster than this one.
So you're going to get crumbed, what you're saying.
Probably, yeah. Because I'm not going with all this confidence and then instantly it's going to be like, oh, this doesn't work at all. You're an idiot.
I haven't even thought about Underworld.
I'm excited for it.
I'm always excited, but I never, yeah.
I mean, with some of the changes in the tournament landscape, Underworld Cup will officially become my favorite tournament of the year.
Not Zebsit?
I mean, that's fun, but that's more of an event.
Yeah. It's an invitation.
Underworld, I've always said that's my favorite of, yeah.
I mean, it's always been in like my top 3, but
yeah.
Now it's gotten to the point where some of the other ones that would compete with that are going away or not as exciting as they used to be for me.
Well, because I got Chaos Cup will be my 3rd Blood Bowl tournament, official Blood Bowl NAF tournament. Well, is Witcher Wizards Bowl a NAF tournament or it not because it's not been submitted yet?
I'll push for that.
I mean,
it was approved.
It'll only be my 2nd tournament. I'm actually pretending to try. I'm trying it. I should say. I'm taking serious enough to not just do goofy shit. Like just try to get a croc score to pick up the ball. I don't think it'll be my favorite because it's too many games.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people there. But it'll still be a good time.
160.
Yeah.
Look forward to playing in the lobby. What if the lobby's the only one?
Close to the bathrooms, man.
That's true. And with my meds and being old, I need that. But I will tell the person I'm playing that I'm getting up to go to the bathroom. I won't.
That's always key.
I won't just throw a smoke bomb and disappear like a ninja.
It wasn't even. Yeah. This is still the most bizarre, one of the most bizarre things. That and the guy putting his chaps on and leaving a tournament once mid-game.
Like riding chaps?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe his horse was double parked.
It was an iron horse, but yes.
Oh, and to kick it all off, that is a great story in itself, but he put his chaps on to leave and he hadn't paid for the tournament yet. And he had to write a check to pay for the tournament before he could leave.
Did you say, don't worry about it?
It wasn't my tournament.
Yeah. That was also the same guy that had a mason jar and he put his dice in the mason jar and he was shaking it. And the whole room got quiet. And we all wanted to say something, but didn't. And then Katie goes, oh, hell no. And that ended it right there because you can imagine just those dice clinking.
What kind of a lunatic does that?
Someone who wears chaps to
I ride a motor.
Here's a checkbook.
Yeah.
So he quit the tournament after playing me. And the one thing that set him off was it was like turn 5 or 6. He threw a pass over one of my guys' heads and I intercepted the ball. And after that, he was just done. Then he kept playing this defense where he would just move back a square or two. I was like, that's fine. I have the ball and I'll move forward a square or two.
Mm-hmm.
We can run this whole clock out. That's fine.
Yeah.
You're not doing something.
His entire strategy hinged on that one pass. And
that's the way he made it sound. And I mean, the second half, I think we got one turn in. And he was miserable, crying and complaining the whole time. And I had the ball. I was like, just want to call the game. I'll score on turn 16. And we just call all the turns. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And then he started putting his chaps on and left. I was like, okay, I don't know what the hell just happened.
We actually delayed the start of the tournament for 30 minutes.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Because he had to take his chaps off?
He was late.
He was late.
And we were all waiting for him.
Yeah.
Oh, those were the days.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, that is Gencon / Blood Bowl / comic book slab drama / horrible Blood Bowl players, which most are. Speaking of which, Mike, were you there when Phil and the guy who was playing just started screaming?
No, I had left then.
I mean, it's loud in that room already. And then these Blood Bowl freaks, which they're both Blood Bowl freaks, just start screaming. And Ryan's like, what's that? And I said, Blood Bowl. He goes, say no more.
I could see him saying that. Yep.
All right, guys, I'll see you later.
All right.
Yep.
Zlurpcast! Brought to you by Nuffles. Bet you can't just roll a one.